Hi everybody, it's Connie Stewart with SimplySimpleStamping.com. I'm so glad you guys could join me for tonight's YouTube premiere. Hey, we have got something fantastic lined up tonight. It's another one-sheet wonder. I know how much you guys love one-sheet wonders, and I love creating them for you. Tonight's is a little bit different. We're going to be creating our own designer series paper to create 8 fantastic cards. Guys, these turned out beautiful. I'm using a brand new stamp set that will start in our upcoming catalog. It actually goes live on June 4th, but I couldn't wait. I just couldn't wait. These cards were too pretty not to get started and share with you. This is from a new stamp set called To a Wild Rose. You're going to love it. We're going to have some fun creating our own paper tonight. And hey, before we get started on our cards, I want to let you know that if you are on live with me right now, it is Wednesday, May 29th, 2019, 7 p.m. Central Time. If you're on live right now, there's a chat box right there over at YouTube, over on the right-hand side, and I'm in that chat box chatting away with you guys. So feel free to join in on the chat. Make sure you log into your YouTube account to do that. You do have to be logged in to chat, but this is a lot of fun. It gives me an opportunity to kind of get to know you. We have a lot of fun during the premieres, having our little chat sessions over there. Now, I want to give you a heads up. You're going to want to stay tuned until the end of the video, because at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you how you can get a tutorial for all the cards, the diagrams, the cutting, the measurements, everything to create the one-sheet wonder. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the video to learn how to get that for free. Now, just a reminder, all the measurements of everything that I'm doing tonight will be available tomorrow, May 30th, 2019, over at SimplySimpleStamping.com. So guys, relax, have a good time tonight. Don't worry about the measurements. They'll all be waiting for you. But as I said, be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video, because I'll share with you how you can get the written tutorial with all the diagrams of the project I created tonight. You're not going to want to miss that. Well, enough chit chat. Are you guys ready to one-sheet wonder it? Let's get over to the stamping table and get started. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the cardstock you need for today's one-sheet wonder. We're going to be creating 8 cards tonight, and my colors tonight, these are all 8.5 by 11, by the way. My card bases are going to be in Whisper White Thick, Blushing Bride, Pool Party, a brand new in color, and this is the Rococo Rose. My layering pieces will be an Old Olive, and then we'll be stamping on Whisper White cardstock. Now, the star of today's show is a brand new stamp set. This will be available starting June 4th. This is the stamp set To a Wild Rose. Beautiful set. It's a 2-step, which I love, because can you see how these flowers layer on top of each other? Just wait till you see what we do with them in a little bit. But we also have some wonderful sentiments. We've got some great leaves. All of this together really create a gorgeous image. Now, we are just going to be using the stamp set tonight, but I wanted you to know it is also available as a bundle with 8 matching framelits. So you do save 10% when you buy it as a bundle, but I did want you to know for tonight, we're just going to use the stamp set. Our ink pad colors are the brand new Rococo Rose, Old Olive, Pool Party, and Soft Suede. All right, are you ready to stamp? Let's get started. Now, I do want to point out, because we are using a photopolymer stamp set, I need that Stampin' Pierce mat underneath me. It just makes for better images. I'm also going to need some scratch paper. I'm going to use our small grid paper because it's going to work really well for me here. Because for our first stamped image, we're going to use this giant flower. This is the solid image, but it's going to be very dark. So what I want to do is ink that up on my Rococo Rose. I'm going to stamp off and then stamp onto my cardstock. See how we get that really nice soft image? That's what we want. I'm going to repeat this. So ink it up, stamp it off, stamp onto my cardstock. I'm going to continue to do this all over my Whisper White cardstock. Now let's come in with the two-step, and let me ink this up and you'll be able to see it better. This is going to stamp right directly on top. Now we're not going to stamp off because look at that, isn't that beautiful? That's what we're going for. So we can just continue now. I'm gonna finish that up all over my cardstock. Very pretty, right? Well, now we're going to come in with the soft suede ink pad and the solid image stamp and watch what happens to these images when I go on top of it with the solid stamp. It is absolutely going to pop off the cardstock. Beautiful, right? Let's go ahead and go over all of the flowers now with our outline image. Now we're going to come in and we're going to add some leaves, and we're going to do that with an old olive ink pad. Now, just like our flowers, we have a three-part system here. So I want to take the set of leaves, there's no stem. You notice this one has a stem, as does the outline. So this is our no stem. All right, I'm going to bring in my old olive ink pad. We're going to ink that up. We're going to stamp off, and then we will add our leaves. Now, the goal here is to kind of fill in. So when I see a spot that needs some greenery, we can just kind of start to fill in. I am going to try to avoid touching the flowers if I can, but if it overlaps, that is not a problem. But you can see we're just simply filling in. Just make sure you stamp off once before you stamp here onto our Whisper White cardstock. Let me finish adding my leaves. All right, now we're going to come in with the leaves with the stem. We won't ink off. We'll go right on top and look at the detail. So pretty. All right, I'm going to repeat now this stamp all over. I gotta tell you, I think it's looking beautiful just like that. We are going to come in now with our outline, and just as we did on our flowers, we'll use that with soft suede. And can you see how those leaves now just pop off the paper? I do want to make another point here. You notice I'm not perfect. One thing I have always loved about two-step stamping is perfection, and getting things perfectly straight are not the goal. I think sometimes when they come off a little bit, it actually gives it more of a watercolor look. So don't get too wrapped up in perfection when working with this stamp set. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Now, we are going to give the stamen inside all of our flowers a little something, something. I'm going to come in with the stamen stamp. Stamen stamp, we're going to stamp off, which you've seen me do, and we're going to come inside all the flowers. Do you see? It just gives them even more texture. I feel like with each layer, I could stop right there because it's so pretty. I'm going to bring in my chamois so I can clean off this stamp, because now I want to come in with Pool Party, and I'm going to use this stamp just to fill in. I just wanted to kind of, whoops, I got a little off there. Good thing it doesn't matter with that one. We'll just kind of keep adding these all through, just filling in some white space. We are going to add some more color, so I'm not too worried about filling in all the white space. Do you see how that's just adding that beautiful Pool Party color? There we go. All right, I'm going to move my mat now and bring in a sponge dauber. I'm going to ink up that sponge dauber. I'm going to dab off some of the ink because I want it to be very nice and soft. I'm going to swirl very lightly. I mean lightly. And I'm just going to come in between all of my stamped images, ink it up, get some of that excess ink off, and just lightly swirl. I always like to tell you and remind you that you can always add more, but you can't take it away. So less is more when we're doing this technique, but can you see how that is filling that in so pretty and giving me just that nice, again, nice burst of that Pool Party color. And there you have it. So yes, basically we have just created our own designer series paper. Get creative with your color combinations, but I thought these looked very, very nice together. But now it's time to one sheet wonder. Let's cut up our stamped cardstock. I like to keep my one sheet wonders as simple as possible. So I'm gonna start by cutting in half 4 1/4. I'm then going to rotate, and I'm going to cut it at 5 1/2. So I have 2 equal pieces, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Let's repeat that with our remaining piece. So now we will have 4 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, for cards 1 and 2, we are going to place our cardstock and we're going to line up the points here in our paper cutter. Just line up the point in the track and we're going to cut those at a diagonal. So that's card 1 and 2. My next one, we will cut at 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch. That's going to leave us a 2 1/4. This is now going to make cards 3 and 4. For cards 5 and 6, we are going to cut this down to 4 inches. So remember it was 4 1/4. And you notice I picked the side that just was a little blank. You know, I always like to do my best to save what I can. We're gonna cut it down to 4 by 5 inch. So I'll cut that end off. I will cut it down to 1 inch and 1 1/2 inch, and then that's going to leave me 2 1/2 inches. And we're ready with card 5 and 6. My last piece of cardstock, let's cut it down to 3 inches. That's going to leave me 2 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut it down 2 1/2 by 4. So I need to cut off a little bit there. And guys, we now have cards 7 and 8. Earlier in the show, I shared with you about the Tulle Wild Rose bundle. And even though we're not using the framelits tonight, I did want to take a moment just to share with you what these framelits look like because I think they are so beautiful. So one of the things that they have is a really great label. You guys know this is something that we use on a lot of cards. And I have a lot of sentiments that'll work inside that. And then also we have a die for the flower. So that means I can pop that flower off of there if I'd like. We have a die for the leaves. Again, this means really great dimension on a card or a scrapbook page. This little guy here is if you want to pop the center of the flower. And I think that just adds a really nice little touch. Then those are our die cuts that are probably the ones that you're pretty much used to. But I want you to notice these. These make really fantastic accents. So these just die cut. And look at all the great detail inside each one. And then a wonderful little border as well. Guys, this is really a fantastic set of framelits. And I just didn't want to let the night go without showing you what else you could get when you purchase it as a bundle. All right, now all of those cards are great, but they need some layering. So I'm going to use Old Olive as my layering piece. And what I want to do is I'm going to cut this piece down to 8 1/2 by 4 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to take that 4 3/4 and I want to set that off to the side so I can work with this piece. Now, what I want to do is cut off 3 strips that are 1/4 of an inch by 8 1/2. So there's 1, 2, and 3. All right, setting those off to the side. Let's keep working. I have got now a piece of cardstock that is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. Let's cut this in half at 2 3/4. So 8 1/2 by 2 3/4. And now I'll cut these down to 4 1/4. So I will have 4 pieces that are 2 3/4, whoops, there we go, 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 inch. 4 layering pieces there. Now we'll bring in that remaining 4 3/4. So what I wanted to start with is I'm going to cut, that's my 8 1/2 up there at the top. Let's cut it down to 3 inches. I'm going to rotate this and cut it down to 4 1/2 inches. So just cutting off a little 1/4 inch there. All right, so now what is remaining is a 5 1/2 by 4 3/4 inch. I want that 4 3/4 inch up at the top, and I'm going to cut this down to 2 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/2 inches. All right, got that one. And for my final one, we will cut it down to 3/4 of an inch by 5 1/2. This piece will be scrap. In fact, there may be some other pieces there that will scrap, but hey, we were able to get all of our layering pieces with one piece of Old Olive cardstock. It's time to create our card bases. So I'm going to take the Rococo Rose in the Whisper White Thick. I want to take that cutting blade. Let's move that away. We're going to score. Let's score that at 4 1/4 of an inch. And my Whisper White Thick at 4/4 of an inch. Now we're going to rotate that. Take my scoring blade, we'll move it up. Now I can bring in my cutting blade. We'll cut that in half. At 5 1/2 inches, there's 2 card bases. And we'll cut this one down the same. So 4 card bases done. We're now going to repeat that, only we're going to flip-flop it. So this time we'll score at 5 1/2. We'll rotate the cardstock and cut at 4 1/4. I'm now going to repeat that with my Blushing Bride cardstock, and my 8 card bases are ready to go. Guys, it is time to put some cards together. Let's go. I am taking all of my card bases. Let's go ahead and burnish our crease lines with our bone folder. First, let me show you, this is what card 1 and 2 are going to look like. I've added snail to one of my little triangle pieces. We'll add that. And our other one to the bottom half, and that again is on the Blushing Bride. Now we'll bring in 2 of those strips of Old Olive, and you can see there's going to be plenty hanging off. So I'm just going to add some little dots of snail down the center. I will simply lay that to cover up my seam, and then I can just snip off the excess. There you go. I'm going to repeat that now here on the Blushing Bride. There we go. Now I just am going to show you how I stamped. I did my sentiments in soft suede, so true friendship is one of God's greatest gifts. And then this is a lot of fun. You notice we have the word blessed, and then we are blessed to know you. We are blessed and grateful to know you or to be your friend. So you have a lot of options to mix and match what you want to say. So I said, blessed to be your friend. Cards 1 and 2 are done. Let's move on to cards 3 and 4. Cards 3 and 4 will be done on our Whisper White Thick cardstock. We're going to take our Old Olive cardstock. This is the one that is 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. And what I want to do is I want to line up all of my stamped images so that they look the way they did before I cut them. And now, let me just bring this in. You can see I just spaced them out. My tip for you on this card is not to press them down. And I'm going to save the middle one for the end so I can center it up. When you're happy with it, we can give that a press. We'll add that way far over here on the left-hand side, and that is so we can come in and stamp hello in the Rococo Rose. My stamped cardstock that was 2 inches by 5 1/2 will go there. Our technique where we added our little strip, we're going to do that again. I can snip off the excess. And you can see I stamped true friendship is one of God's greatest gifts, again, in the Rococo Rose. Cards 3 and 4 are done. Moving on to 5 and 6. Cards 5 and 6 will be in Rococo Rose and Pool Party. And then I'll be bringing in 2 pieces of the Old Olive. These were the ones that were cut 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. I need my stamped cardstock that's 2 1/2 by 4. And then the 2 pieces, these were the ones that were 1 1/2 and 1 inch. All right, I'm going to come in with soft suede ink and I'm going to stamp blessed up here at the top of my cardstock. And then I'm going to stamp and grateful underneath. I'm going to adhere it here on the left side, and then I will take the stamped cardstock. I'm going to center it, and you notice I'm leaving just a little bit of that Old Olive to peek through. And you can see I can adhere those 2 pieces on my Old Olive. And then I'll adhere that to the left side of my Pool Party. Now let's stamp. I will ink up the word blessed. I'm going to stamp off because I want just a nice, soft, blessed right there. And then I'll stamp to know you, only I won't stamp off. I think that just gives it a nice little soft look. Cards 5 and 6. Now we're going to finish up with cards 7 and 8. We have that 3 by 4 1/4, and we're going to adhere this cardstock It is the same size, so you can see we just have that little bit of the old olive peeking from the top and bottom. I'm going to add that on my Blushing Bride card, and in soft suede ink, we'll say hello. For my last card, I'm going to make an extra score line. Here, I've got the 8.5 inch up here at the top, so just a little 1/2 inch score line there on the side. Fold that over, crease it with my bone folder. I'm going to add snail down that line, and then I'll take my little 3/4 of an inch old olive, press that down. I will now add snail to the old olive and press it down. Now you can see it just gives our card a little extra fold, a little burst of color. My final stamped cardstock will go in the center, and now I can add this up here on my card, and I want to center that on all 3 sides, and then we're going to stamp down at the bottom. In soft suede ink, we'll say blessed, and on this strip, we'll say to be your friend. And our final 2 cards are done. There you go, my friends, 8 really fabulous cards, all created with the brand new To a Wild Rose stamp set. Absolutely beautiful. That's a lot of cards. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed them. These were so much fun to make, and I absolutely loved those color combinations. That little bit of pool party. Ooh, 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 so pretty. And can we talk about that new Rococo Rose? Gorgeous. Now remember, that new in color, the Rococo Rose, and that To a Wild Rose stamp set will be available for purchase after June 4th. So the new catalog from Stampin' Up! Will go live on June 4th, and you're not going to want to miss it. Now, I told you if you'd stay tuned to the end of the video, I'd tell you how you can get my free tutorial how to get all of these great diagrams for the One Sheet Wonder for free. Here's how you can do that. Beginning June 1st, head over to simplysimplestamping.com, and when you place a $30 or more order and use the host code, you're going to get this tutorial as my gift to you. Yep, all you have to do is just place an order. Now, you may want to wait until June 4th, right? Wait till June 4th when that new stamp set becomes available, but just make sure you use the host code. Now, that host code is going to be posted all over simplysimplestamping.com. You can't miss it. But I'd love for you to have this tutorial as my gift, just a way of saying thank you. Now, I know that many of you already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, or perhaps you live outside the US and you can't order from Simply Simple Stamping. Not to worry, this tutorial will also be available for sale. Just look in the blue menu bar for videos and tutorials, and you can order the tutorial there. Guys, I put a lot of pride into my tutorials. If you've ordered them, you know. Very thorough diagrams, thorough instructions, lots of photos, because that always makes things easier. All the measurements, everything that you need. And let me tell you, even though you can come back to the video and make the cards, it is so nice to have the printout with those diagrams there. It helps the cutting. You're just gonna boom, boom, boom. You'll be able to whiz through in no time. So I do recommend the tutorial. Typically about this time, I tell you when my next YouTube premiere is. Guys, I'm going to be taking some time off for the summer. My family, we like to do a lot of camping. We're going to be doing some traveling. So my schedule is really iffy. So not to worry, I'm still going to be sharing 3 videos with you each and every week. But we are going to take a little break from YouTube premieres until the fall. So I hope to see you guys over at simplysimplestamping.com. Do me a favor, if you like today's video, I love thumbs up. They make me very happy. They help me know what you guys like and what you want to see more of. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, for goodness sake, it's free. Why not? Just click that big red subscribe button and be a subscriber today. And YouTube will let you know whenever I have new videos up. Like I said, I post 3 times a week, so lots of stamping inspiration for you. And if you want more stamping inspiration, simplysimplestamping.com is the place to be. I've got lots and lots and lots of videos and ideas waiting for you there. All right, that is all for me. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.